Good afternoon. I'm Walt Bauer, and I'd like to welcome you to the Human Development Institute's first spring seminar. We welcome the participants who are joining us online through Zoom, as well as the participants who are here with us at the live presentation at the University of Kentucky. Our presenters will provide an opportunity for questions this afternoon, and we welcome questions from all our participants. Please type your questions in the chat box if you have a question and you're online. Should you have any questions about CEUs, you can contact me. Please take a moment at the conclusion of the seminar to complete our brief evaluation. The evaluation will be sent to your email address immediately after the seminar. It is really helpful as we plan for upcoming seminars. I'd like to take a brief moment to announce our next HDI seminar on March 3rd. It is titled Able Accounts and Other Financial Planning Tools, the Importance of Developing a Financial Identity. Registration is currently open for that HDI seminar on March 3rd. Please join us in person or online for the Able Accounts seminar on March 3rd. Now, to introduce today's speakers. Dr. Clyburn is the director of the Kentucky Partnership for Early Childhood Services. He has served for 25 years in various educational administrative roles, including planning and launching preschools in Kentucky and Tennessee. Dr. Gooden is Research and Development Associate for Early Childhood Services at the Human Development Institute at the University of Kentucky. She is a certified Kentucky Early Childhood Trainer. Michelle Johnson is Quality Coordinator for the Kentucky Partnership for Early Childhood Services. She is a certified Kentucky Early Childhood Trainer. The title of the seminar is Seeing Stars, Children with Special Needs in Early Care Settings. I'm now going to turn it over to our presenters.
Thanks, Walt. I'm Caroline Gooden. Glad to see you all here and glad for all of you that are out there in cyberspace participating as well. We're excited to talk with you this afternoon. Talked with several of you already to see where you're coming from, what your backgrounds are. We have a great representative crowd here. We've got some mental health, we've got some directors, we've got some providers, we've got a lot of consultants, STARS raters. We're glad to have you all here. And we look forward to having a discussion today on how we can better serve children in our early care settings who have special needs. That's really what we're about today. So we look forward to learning from each other as we talk about that today. A couple of housekeeping items. Before we start, if you haven't already, I'd like you to fill out an ASQ screen on one of the children in your care. You either have it in front of the blank forms in front of you, or you received it electronically if you're out there in cyberspace. You received an ASQ packet that has an ASQ form for a 12-month-old, a 24-month-old, or a 36-month-old, a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. And what I'd like you to do as we begin right now is, first of all, think of 2 children in your head for whom you'd like to do some planning today, because that's what we'll be thinking about as we go through our session today. So think of 2 children about whom you'd like to do some planning. For the first child, I want you to fill out a screen. This is just for practice. This is not a screening training. This is just practice to get us thinking about children. So select one child, either in your current care or in your former care, who's either approximately 1-year-old, 2-year-old, or 3-year-old, and fill out the ASQ form in your packet. Your packet looks like this. You probably can't see it well from a distance, but it's an ASQ packet, and this packet contains 3 screens, a 12-month, 24-month, and a 36-month. So if you haven't already, we'd like you to take a couple of minutes and fill out the screen on one sample child. All you need to do is put the child's first name on the cover sheet and then simply fill out the 30 questions that are in the ASQ. There's 5 different domains. There's 6 questions per domain. Fill out those 30 questions. If there's some you don't know, that's fine. You can skip them. I also want you to score your ASQ as you fill out those points. So if you give the child a yes on an item, that's 10 points. Sometimes it's 5 points, and not yet is 0 points. So score as you go. You'll also notice in your whichever protocol you pick, there's a summary page. So for instance, for this child who's 12 months old, there's a summary page that looks like this. We'd like you to fill this top box out as well, so you get a sense of how this child did on this sample screen. Okay? So that's one thing for you to do as we start, if you haven't already. If you have questions about that, you can If you're here at Coldstream, you can simply just raise your hand and we'll call on you. If you're out there online, you can enter a question in the chat and Walt will translate discussion and questions from online. So we welcome your participation throughout the session today. You have 2 handouts that you should have received electronically. One was the ASQ forms. The second one is a pretty lengthy handout that has all the PowerPoint slides from today. It has lots of resources for you. If you didn't get those, you can email us and we can send it to you again. They're in the Dropbox link that Walt sent. This has resources for screening, for assessment, and lots of resources for including kids with special needs. So there's a handout packet for you, an ages and stages packet for you. We'll be doing a couple of fun things during the course of today's session. We're going to have 4 different polls, which we look forward to getting your participation and your answers through a polling mechanism. And we'll be doing lots of discussion as we go, talking about our common experiences, how we've problem solved some of the obstacles that we encounter in screening, assessment, and working with kids with special needs. So that's what today looks like. Any questions, logistics-wise, before we start? If you haven't finished your ASQ screen, go ahead and finish that as we get going. And we will refer back to that in a later part of our session today. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Clyburn.
Yes. Good afternoon. It really is a privilege to share with you some information about leadership and about the Kentucky Partnership for Early Childhood Services, of which I'm the director, and to let you know how important it is to have a good leadership philosophy, not only when you work with child care centers, but when you work with children, when you work with parents, and when you work with communities. The first element of all aspects of working in the area of early childhood is to have a vision and have a mission and have goals that you attain and work to. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but mission, vision, goals, objectives, those are the targets where we're headed to when we work with individuals or with systems. The second area of leadership that I think a lot about is developing teams, networks, and collaboration. When you get into the all-stars domain, there's a component on community engagement, and that collaboration and engagement, whether it's with families or with systems, other agencies, becomes critical for the quality care that we want to offer. And then finally, the third element of leadership that transfers across the topics today is what I call cheer the progress. And that is affirming the progress that's made and affirming the development and affirming the meeting of goals. And that's something that we don't pay attention to a lot, but making sure that there's good support for the good work that's being done in an individual or with a group or a system. If I can do this. Good. I want to say something about the Kentucky Partnership for Early Childhood Services. Our mission is presented before you. We provide high quality services for children and families through active engagement of early care and education providers in lifelong learning and continuous quality improvement advanced by collaborative research. I'd like to focus on just a couple elements of that mission that guides our daily work in supporting quality child care throughout Kentucky. One is providing high quality services. Quality is something you'll hear more about later on in the presentation, but quality is what we want to make sure that children are exposed to and benefit from. Active engagement of early care and education. We talked about that collaboration and engagement and involvement, and that is critical to what we do in Kentucky in engaging children, engaging partners and providers in the good work. Finally, the continuous quality improvement advanced by collaborative research. The focus on quality, the focus on improvement is what we try to do as we think about the coaches and trainers and work, those who are here that are raters. All of us have a responsibility for quality and making sure that the services that we provide children are the very best. Our major activities of the partnership, which includes our regional administrators in 8 regions of the state and coaches full-time coaches that are, I say, from Fulton County in the west to Pike County in the east, and all the counties in between. We offer child care referrals for parents who are interested in quality child care, and also offer some information on the market, information on pricing, technical assistance that are provided for child care centers, training for early care and education trainer credentials, the training and professional development of directors and workers within the child care center is really critical for making sure that children benefit from the best practices. And then coordination of the early care and education scholarship program. Our hope is that there will be a core of individuals who will progress into early childhood education as a profession, and we want to support that with the scholarship program that's available. We do provide coaching services across the state. We have nearly now 100 full-time coaches across the state working with early childhood centers, child care centers, and they are supervised by regional administrators positioned in the state in 8 regions. And then we have a core of what we call content coordinators here at the home base, making sure that we're following state standards and state requirements, but also making sure that we have the highest quality in our program. The coaching services that we provide include health and safety coaches, quality coaches, training coaches, professional development coaches, and technical assistants. And so we try to cover the full gamut of the child's experience, improving child care centers and child care programming across the state. Most of you are aware now of the movement toward Kentucky All-Stars, and we are a part of that movement and a partnership in that movement. We have teamed up with the Governor's Office of Early Childhood, the Kentucky Department of Education, and the Kentucky Division of Child Care, which is our primary partner. We support the implementation of the Kentucky All-Stars through various activities and training and opportunities, and the funding for that comes through the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grant. I want to mention the 4 domains of the Kentucky All-Stars that I believe are the framework for what we are trying to accomplish in working with children. Number 1, I've mentioned earlier, family and community engagement. That network of support for children's programming is critical. Classroom and instructional quality. We believe the opportunity for children to begin learning at the earliest ages and benefit from the greatest experience in child care centers is an opportunity for the future. Staff qualifications and professional development. The quality and the level of what goes on in child care centers is allied strongly with the quality and the qualifications of the staff. And then, as we mentioned earlier, administrative and leadership practices to make sure that there is a vision, that there are goals, and those goals are being accomplished for the benefit of children in child care. The partnership offers online learning opportunities. There are 20 online course options available, and the link is there if you are interested. 1 to 17-hour sessions prepare individuals for working with children with disabilities and becoming an effective trainer. And those, again, we encourage you to look at that link and view what is available. We have partners that we work with. We are a partnership foremost. And the partners that we work with, the Kentucky Division of Child Care, Kentucky Department of Public Health, the University of Kentucky Human Development Institute, Child Care Aware of America, the University of Kentucky College of Education, and the University of North Carolina. And the network is expanding as we begin to spend more emphasis or time on school readiness and opportunities to help the early childhood experience prepare children for the future. We believe that there are many other partners that we could be working with in the future. As I mentioned earlier, as you think through the programming to help children and the work of early childhood in the state and child care center, those 3 areas I believe are critical. Mission, goals, vision lead to worthwhile work. And some of you are involved in working with children, most of you I hope, and your work is worthwhile work when you realize that when you have services and work with early childhood, all children in fact, you are building the future. You're a part of the future. The most valuable valuable element I think that we have in society is a child's future, because that is something that is yet to be seen and yet something yet to be treasured. The second area, as I mentioned, in leadership is the collaboration, communication, teamwork, partnership, inclusion. I believe that working with children can never be in isolation. There has to be engagement and involvement. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, affirmation, cheering the progress, recognition. There is such a need in a child's life for positive affirmation. There's such a need for in early childhood work, those who are working to work with children, to have that kind of affirmation and support and positive reinforcement that we can offer as leaders and policymakers. Finally, there was an article that came up in Leadership Insights. The author is David Lansfield, who is parent of a child with special needs, and he collaborated with other parents, and they came up with a list of items, a list of ways to influence all children, influence their support, influence their development. And I'd like for you to look at those. Live your purpose. If you're working with children, you need to live your purpose. Goes back to the mission and goals. Reinforce your strengths as you work with children, all children, to emphasize that every child has strengths and abilities and aptitudes. Thirdly, let's let go of what you can't control. And most of us who really care sometimes have difficulty with that. Be present. Not just worry about the past or dwell on that or consider only the future, but be present with children and their parents and those who are supporting them. Keep your aspirations pragmatic, making sure that what we want to happen can happen and are reasonable goals in the life of a child. Embrace what makes us different. And that to me is one of the most important elements of this statement, because the differences that we experience with children and in childcare are a strength. The diversity that we have is a strength and an opportunity for learning and an opportunity for development. And I believe that the fact that we have successful childcare in Kentucky will lead to successful children, will lead to successful students, will lead to successful lives and future. And that's why I believe our work and your work is so important. It's my privilege now to introduce Michelle Johnson to you. She's going to speak. She is our person, I guess say quality guru. She's the quality person in the partnership and coordinates the quality efforts and measures across the state with our coaches. And Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. Welcome. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the standards, the Kentucky Early Learning Standards. As most of you know, with the Kids Now, Stars for Kids Now program that we have now, that's been around since right around the beginning of 2001. And so in 2011, we had been around 10 years into the Stars for Kids Now system. And so we commissioned an evaluation with Child Trends out of North Carolina to evaluate the program, see where we are, see what we could do better, and sort of make some changes around that. And with that, there came a lot of recommendations out of that, and most of them were around serving children with special needs, and more specifically, how to do that. The environment rating scales that we used did cover some of those items, but only either at the higher levels or only if children were present at the time that were attending the program that had special needs. So we wanted to incorporate more specific standards. So with that, and with the funding through Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge Grant, like Dr. Clyburn mentioned, we were able to start beginning developing new standards that would meet quality, but also incorporate children with special needs at a more specific level, and also to meet quality in general rather than just specifically environmental. We wanted to focus more on engagement, collaboration with the teacher and child interactions, and all of that. So several of the new All-Stars standards that you see on the board here have come out of that, and we are implementing those now through the Kentucky All-Stars. So the first one is 50% of teaching staff will have professional learning activities in developmental screening. And then we also want the children screened within 90 days and referred as needed within 30 days of that screening. So with that, we really want to get children screened at the beginning so that we know how to work with them in the future. After the screening, then we want to assess the children on an ongoing basis. And then we also want to use those assessment results to inform our instruction. And then finally, provide individualized services to all children and work with them and their families on their IFSPs or IEPs and their goals with that. We have developed, we haven't developed, we have a cadre of coaches, as Dr. Clyburn mentioned, that can assist with implementing these standards, assist you in meeting these standards, and we are just really excited about implementing the new quality standards and ensuring that folks are looking at quality as an overall improvement system rather than just a rating. We want it to be a continuous improvement. So we are excited to work with you all. As I said, we have coaches all across the state that are willing to assist you. And I'll be here throughout the presentation that Caroline does to answer questions if you have specifics around the standards. I know some have come up even previous to today, and so we can talk about those as we move forward. But I just wanted to give you a general understanding of why we made changes to the standards. And then Caroline's going to go into more in depth about how we can meet these standards and what we can do for that. So I'll turn it back over to her.
So do you have any questions before we move forward? Any questions from online? Dave's going to help me adjust the screen. Any questions so far? Anything online that we need to attend to?
No. Not yet.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That'd be okay?
Yep, thank you.
I'll change your slide. Excuse me, sir.
The first thing that I want to emphasize, this is a video that I love that reminds us why we do what we do with kids, and it's a way of saying to you all that I really appreciate the work that you do with kids and families every day, because what you do is important for how our children and families do. So if I can get this to play.
That's me at 4 months old. I'm one of the thousands of little miracles born into poverty every day. That's my mom. She's 17 and never finished high school. She's got some big dreams for me, but she's alone and she's scared. This is my first birthday. That's my grandma, my cousin Tanya, and my boyfriend Kevin. We all live together. It's cold and crowded. I hope we move soon. I don't like Kevin. He's always yelling. This is my second birthday. We're all at daycare, strapped in watching TV again. I wish I could just run around. This is my third birthday. My brother William's taking care of me while my mom sleeps. She works the night shift, so we can't turn up the TV, but we get to go to bed whenever we want. This is my fourth birthday. We're sleeping at my aunt's this month. I don't know when my dad's coming home, but I'm hungry and I miss him. This is my fifth birthday. This is my first day of kindergarten. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm unprepared because I didn't get the right start. I'm twice as likely to be in special education.
30% more likely to never go to college.
70% more likely to be arrested for a violent crime.
Become a teen parent.
Drop out of school, never hold a job. Spend the rest of my life in poverty.
My mom plays with me all the time. She smiles a lot now, and she knows she's not alone anymore.
Grandma Tanya and Kevin read me a story every night before I go to bed. I go to my school every day, where I get to run and play and see all my new friends.
Will and I go to preschool together. Today we learned about dinosaurs and played a counting game.
Every morning, my dad and I brush our teeth and eat breakfast together. We have our own place now, and I know we'll always be together. This is my first day of kindergarten. I'm rested, I'm eager, I'm confident, I'm curious, I'm prepared.
I'm ready. I am your future. Change the first 5 years, and you change everything. Anyone interested in investing?
Okay, you can turn the lights back up.